Okay, I am at ETSI Security Conference, and I'm very pleased to have with me Alex Buchan from DTG and Safeshark. Thank you, Alex, so much for joining me.
No worries.
Can you just please start by introducing yourself a little and your background in security and Safeshark as well for those who don't know?
Sure, yeah. So, my name's Alex Buchan. I'm a director and co-founder at Safeshark. And Safeshark were born out of the requirement for consumer IoT testing for cybersecurity. So there's some new laws and things coming out, meaning that everyday products around your home that are internet connected need to be tested to a certain standard. And there needed to be facilities available that could test that. So we won some government money to set up Safeshark to provide a test service for cybersecurity of IoT devices. So that's where Safeshark was born. And my background is kind of engineering, RF engineering, wireless engineering, test services and things like that. So I've kind of come from the testing background, and we work with Connect Devices, who are cybersecurity experts and create apps for cybersecurity monitoring and things like that. So it's kind of a combination of those things.
Yeah. And with Safeshark, are we talking about consumer IoT products or further than that?
Yeah. So we were primarily set up to look at consumer IoT devices. So we've set up a certification scheme with the British Standards Institute. So we test the products, then the British Standards Institute give it a kind of kite mark. And the first products through that are LG smart TVs. So that's the kind of concept, really. It's everyday things in your house, whether it's smart speakers, TVs, fridges. We're just testing a washing machine at the moment.
Yeah, well, everything's becoming connected now and digitized, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. And our engineers even tested their Tesla car. So
really?
Yeah, it could be anything, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. And your talk this week was looking at how manufacturers can meet new security performance requirements, looking especially at testing. To you, what really is the importance of testing, and what do manufacturers need to be aware of?
Yeah, I think the importance of testing, the way we're doing it, is it's objective and it's repeatable, and there's a continuous element to it as well, which I'll come back to in a sec. But to have, I guess, was what standards is all about, and ETSI is all about. It's having a common set of criteria and a common way of doing things that everyone can understand and have access to. So I think that's really important. Otherwise, you'll get a situation where people interpret things in different ways, produce products to a different level of quality, and at the end of the day, it's a consumer that's going to fall foul of those kind of whatever issues come out of that as a result. So it's important to do the testing, and I think the difference that we do at Safeshark is our test platform does continuous monitoring of products.
Yeah.
And that's important from a cybersecurity perspective, because the product you get out of the box and test on day one is a lot different from the product on day 10, 20, 30, because the software upgrades happen all the time to overcome new threats and things, and the product changes. So our testing basically tracks that over time, and you can see the differences, things move on over time, and make sure the certification is robust, basically.
I'm glad you mentioned that, actually, because that was one of my questions, was about the timing of testing. Whether it's kind of as a product's been developed, after it's been developed, once the fault's been recognised.
Sure. So what we like to do is, I guess, work with the manufacturer when they're beginning to develop their product. So it's a lot easier. One of our engineers always says it's a lot easier to put the plumbing into the house while it's being built rather than afterwards. But we can test products once they're finished as well. We can test anything with an internet connection. The service is, I guess, we can help manufacturers get ready for the new requirements that are coming in, understand their products better, because a lot of them piece together open source software and they're not necessarily sure how it all works from a cybersecurity perspective in the finished product. So that's the kind of concept of what we try and do at Safeshark, and then as I said, we continually monitor the product after that once it's been tested on day one, and tell them any deltas that happen, and send them regular reports and keep them appraised of the ETSI process and the standards process and stuff like that.
And that follows the standards are updated, regulations are updated.
Yeah, exactly. So the test platform monitors the product and then compares the results to the standard and the kind of requirements in the standards. So as the standards get updated, we can update our test platform to say, this is the new requirement, so do these results match that new requirement? And then if not, we can let the manufacturer know and say, you've got to kind of extra bit you got to do now, or there's something else you got to manage, or if they've got to kind of change things in any way or whatever. Yeah.
Okay, and looking at it from a slightly different perspective, from the consumer perspective, how important is it for them to be aware of testing and how frequently it should be tested, and also what products are being tested?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So I think, first and foremost, we did some, DTG, who's our kind of parent company, digital TV group. They do research every year, independent research called The State of the Nation. And it looks at kind of what the consumers think, basically, and things that are important to them. And the things that were high on the agenda this year that weren't last year were energy efficiency and cybersecurity. So to the consumer, they were saying if they had something that could say to them quickly, oh, this has been, or easily identifiable as it's been tested for cybersecurity best practice, then that would be interesting to them from a purchasing point of view. Because, what they're interested in is peace of mind. They don't necessarily want to know how it all happens, and they haven't got the time to work it out. But if they see something that someone else has independently verified, then that's certainly of growing importance to the consumer. I'm sorry, what was the other question? The other element to that, I think.
I can't quite remember, but I definitely have another question about how can consumers know or learn about how a product's being tested or whether it's being tested?
Okay. So I guess assurance schemes with consumer logos are the easiest way of doing that, and that's why we set up so we do the testing, and we partnered with the British Standards Institute, who provide a kind of kite mark style logo which goes on the product.
Okay.
And then that's then recognisable to retailers and consumers to show that it's been through the best practice security standards that are around at the time, basically. So I think that's probably the easiest way. I mean, I don't think many consumers have in-depth knowledge, perhaps, about the cybersecurity requirements and standards. And it's not expected that they should do either. So
not, the onus isn't on them. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we have a consumer-facing logo that should do that for them, and then like I said, the aim is giving that kind of peace of mind. And British Standards Institute are a well-recognised brand for assurance and quality and trustworthiness. So that's the reason why we've gone work with them, basically. But we'd also like to look at partnering with other schemes around. CSA, I think, was meant talking about theirs in Singapore today. So that kind of thing. We're going to have some meetings now with them to try and work out about kind of mutual recognition agreements and things like that. Yeah,
because labelling and cybersecurity labelling is something that's come up a lot in the last couple of days. And making it global as well, because obviously you're based in the UK. Right? Yes. Are you looking to go international at all? Or? Yeah,
well, I mean, we're obviously using ETSI standards, which are European. The fact that we have a kind of British logo on the front of it doesn't mean it's not applicable to the European market. So the testing still covers Europe, and we work closely with the other standards bodies as well to keep a track of any other requirements that are coming out. So certainly our aim, I guess one of the innovations in our platform is you can just include all of the other standards that need to be addressed for other markets, and the product is automatically then tested against those with the same information that was gathered in the first place. So it's a great way of being able to keep across other markets as well. And but like I said, there's one aspect of it is testing the product. The manufacturers need to gain market access and do the requirements, but the other element is showcasing that to the consumer and making them aware. So we want to work with other logo schemes around the world to kind of have a kind of cross recognition or something like that. We can allow our customers to access other markets as well.
And something else I'm curious about, you've talked about this kind of idea of continuous testing. How much does kind of automated testing play a role in this?
And that's the main feature of without that, that's not possible, I don't think, because most testing is someone sat in front of the product, to get it out of the box, they get some declarations from the manufacturer, and then they have a look at the product, and then they go, they make a subjective decision, and that's it, tested. And then you can't really carry on doing anything else after that point because you haven't got the resource really, or it would take a lot of resource to do that. So the platform we've developed, you plug it in. You do need some manual, I guess, assessment to start with to look at some aspects of it, but most of it is automated. Yeah, and then that works 24/7, 365 days a year, and you can monitor the results in a cloud platform, run reports, see how things have changed, get alerts.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a real, I'd say, game changer for cybersecurity testing, which has predominantly been a subjective assessment up to this point.
Yeah, that's interesting because one of my questions also was on the frequency of testing, how important that is. But I guess if you're doing it on an automated basis,
yeah, you
that
can
helps.
do it all the time. Yeah. So we paired our platform up so we have a test device, and that pairs up to whatever device you're testing, and then you just leave it kind of plugged in with that, and you can either leave it running all the time. We've got a test lab in London where we can do that.
Okay.
But obviously, if you haven't got that facility, I guess you could have it kind of intermittently check in with devices at a kind of periodic basis every month or something like that, and just check the progress. Or there's many ways to do it, but yeah, the basis is you can quickly see how you're doing against the standard and how your product has changed over time. So that's the kind of key points, really.
Yeah, and we're kind of coming to the end of our time, but my last question really is just on your thoughts for the future of testing and your company.
Yeah, sure. So we're really starting now to talk to a lot of test houses, a lot of certification bodies, a lot of market surveillance kind of organisations. So that's really where we see this heading, our platform being licensed out to, and manufacturers as well who do a lot of testing in-house. So that's where we see this heading. And I think without a kind of automated way of doing the testing, it's not really going to be feasible to have that kind of repeatable, objective kind of assessment of things, and it's not going to be a level playing field. So I think it's going to be key to ensuring that these standards are met in their entirety, and products do genuinely become secure by design, which is, I guess, the intention of all this work that we're all doing in ETSI and in Europe and in the UK.
Okay, and just finally, as we are at ETSI Security Conference, you've already talked a bit about this, but how important are standards for what you do and events like this as well? Yeah,
of course, yeah. The standards, first off, very important. Like I said, if there wasn't a common way of doing things, then it would be a bit of a Wild West out there, and products would be getting to the consumer with little or no checks, I would assume, because it'd be a race to the kind of bottom of who could get the stuff out the quickest and the cheapest. And events like this, again, a great way for us to showcase what we're doing, meet lots of people who are interested in the products, and understand what everyone else is doing as well, and where we fit into the ecosystem. So it's a great event.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Alex, for joining me. I hope the rest of the event is successful for you.
Thank you very much.